Well, I was a young man living over in the southeast side of Cleveland, Ohio, back in the late '60s, and I was probably about 4.5, 5 years old. I heard this young kid on the radio singing "Stop the Love You Save," and when I heard it, I thought, if he can do it, I can do it. Of course, the kid was Michael Jackson, and the group was the Jackson 5. In the fall of 1969, right into early 1970, that musically changed my life because it was the first time during the first few years of my young life I saw an image, not just an image of black people on television, but the image of a young black child superstar that was probably not much older than me and had a big, very lasting impression on my life. One of the reasons why I had always desired and still do music through DJing, but now, and I've experimented with doing music production over the years. But now recently had a desire to do and get into and play real music again. And I started doing music, desire to play music. Matter of fact, a few years after I started following Michael Jackson. I got my first guitar in 1973, and I got an electric guitar in 1978. And then after that, a couple of years later, I went to high school and played music in a band. Then I played with a garage band with some friends of mine for a couple of years. Now I want to go back and get into music and incorporate all my music that the things I can play a little bit. Drums, keyboard, a little bit of bass. And get into making a serious album. In 2011, I actually did a song. As a matter of fact, I think it's still on YouTube. It was called Keep Strong. And it was really about, and this is before all that mess started happening with our young people like Trayvon Martin, where they started getting in the news about murders of innocent black men. This was a year before that. And something told me to make a message song, to keep strong, to keep moving on, to forge ahead. And I realized something. Maybe it's a message that I have to the world that I haven't been able to express myself. And I'm finding out that maybe I have the knack to do it, but just hadn't really had the chance to do it for a certain time in my life where I probably didn't believe that I could do it. But now I realize that I can. And since my kids have been raised and going on his own and stuff like that, and my wife and I have time to spend to ourselves to do other endeavors and stuff like that, I decided to invest back in myself and do the things I've been wanting to do outside of going to the usual 9 to 5 stuff, So, guys and gals, this is DJ Wolf Live, and I will explain to you about what I'm going to tell you right now and why I decided to do this again. This is DJ Wolf Live. Let's go. All right, guys, this is DJ Wolf, and this is DJ Wolf Live, and I just wanted to do a live podcast tonight, a quick one actually. I'll be on a few minutes because I'm about to go ahead and, well, I actually got time to stay up to do it and get me some caffeine in my system. I'm going to do a little bit of an all-night burner with this because I got to go ahead and get into my music grind while I'm feeling it. Okay. Now, I just got finished watching a recent ABC News special about the last days of Michael Jackson. We already know what led to it and all of that. But I guess they went back for people who had already, some of the kids who really learned about who Michael Jackson was and all of that. And this wasn't the thing that inspired me, but he had always inspired me to, in music for many years, even when I was a little boy. And before I even saw the special, just the last 3-4 weeks, I just started going back to the music stores and going online and making some purchases of keyboards. I hadn't played a keyboard in a long time, many years, matter of fact. Last keyboard I think I had was around 2006, 2007. And I just really didn't want to invest in doing it. It was actually one of those MIDI keyboards where you hook up to your computer and use it as a controller to play music out through the computer. Well, today, I already got 2 keyboards, but I could buy a little small one that was on sale. Guitar Center has a really good sale on them right now, and they have a really incredible sale on some used ones. But I already got 2, and I was like, maybe I should have thought about it and looked around a little bit more. But I digress. Anyway, so during that time, I went and got drum machine. I actually got 2. I got a small one. It's okay. And I bought 3 keyboards. One of them is a major synthesizer keyboard. The other one is a synthesizer keyboard with drums and system in it. And the other one is just like a MIDI keyboard what I bought that I wanted to use in my main studio hub, a little small studio hub where I could work on it privately and hook it directly to my computer. I'm excited about that. That's what I'm getting ready to do in a little bit. But what I wanted to say is that I've always loved music. Let me explain it to you. I grew up in 1964, and really before that, but 1964 was a banner year in music because I grew up the same year, or I was born the same year that the Beatles literally exploded onto the scene in America. Really, it was before that, but that same year, the Beatles were a household name by the time I was born. They had just became a household name just a few months earlier, back in the spring of 64, and I was born in the fall of 64. So I came at the right time. So all that music was around when I came up. And I can honestly say between that time, from the time I was born probably to about the time I was probably about in my late teens all the way up to my early 20s was some of the greatest music I think I've ever heard. I can vouch for that because I was there for all of that. And music was basic, but it was different. But it was so many different genres that was really good. So many different acts that was explosively, how can I put it, larger in life musically and everything else. And the music was exciting to me, because I heard a lot of it. And there was a lot of acts that was out there that were game changers in the face of music. The Beatles happened to be one of them. The Temptations, the Rolling Stones, the Jackson 5, the Supremes. I mean, you name it. I was like, they were. To me, they were household names back then, and they still are as far as I'm concerned now. And then later on, Prince, Michael Jackson, and others came around. And in the 80s, it was, musical acts like Culture Club and Wham with George Michael and all these other guys was coming up. And it's just a lot of great music. And music played a big part in my life. I had an uncle who used to play with B.B. King. Matter of fact, I think he played with BB King. I think he told me, was it Albert King? I know he played. I know he played with a couple of them. Bobby Blue Bland too, I think. You know, my other uncle played music for a while. Matter of fact, two of my other uncles did play music. Matter of fact, three of them did. They all played music. You know, they all played guitars. And at the age of 9, I wanted to play guitar. You know, and I was inspired by so many different musical acts. You know, that inspired me that I wanted to play guitar anyway. From acts from like Michael Jackson to David Cassidy to Elvis Presley, those guys inspired the Monkees. All those. I mean, there was so I had because of the fact that I grew up in the city where it was the birthplace of rock and roll, which is Cleveland, Ohio. We had some big name stations that was really popular. There was rock and roll stations that became legends. If you're from Cleveland, you know about Wixie 1260 and WHK was a rock and roll station. I didn't know that they were country when I was a kid. When I started, when I found out later on, they became country. They were rock and roll originally. And the station that I grew up at, that I used to listen to a lot was WJMO, which was right in the hood, not far from where I grew up. And WABQ. And later on was the disco stations, Disco 92 and Disco 108. Couldn't get enough 108. I had 108 and 92 locked. Matter of fact, in one part of the house I had 92 playing, Disco 92 playing. In the other part of the house I had another stereo. I had 108 playing, and then on my transistor radio I had JMO playing. So I'm just saying, music was a big part of my life back then. I could not get enough of it. I played music day in, day out on a record player. On my cassette tapes, I used to tape music all the time. Before then, when I had my first reel-to-reel back in '73, I was taping everything. When I had cassettes later on in the later '70s, I was taping everything. My dad actually bought some music equipment back in the late '70s, early '80s, and he was making music for people. He was actually DJing, but he was making music. I do remember that. And that's what actually inspired me to doing my own thing in music years later, as far as doing DJ stuff, and make my own, create my own music and stuff like that. So music played a huge part of my life. I played a year in high school band. I played a garage band with some friends of mine, and they later on took it a little bit more seriously than I did at the time. They were playing music. I was chasing women. So, but over the years, I discovered a new way of doing music electronically back in 2001. I'm trying to think of the software I used. It was EJ. I think it was EJ. Something EJ, something like that. I forgot the name of it. But it was really cool. And you would just piece different sections together. And then I'm trying to think what the other one I used to use. It was Acid Pro. I think it was called Acid Pro. Acid Pro, something like that. But anyway, it allowed you to actually create intricate pieces together, like blocks, sections of different horn sounds, different drum sounds, all that, and create it and arrange it any way you want to sound. And that was so cool. And I started using that and told a friend of mine about it. He was doing something, and then, he started buying me music software. I started buying more music software, and I told him, if we'd have kept going, we could have been the next CNC Music Factory, because he was doing the hip hop side of it, and I was doing the dance pop side of it, man. So we were laying down some tracks, man. And but my computer, I think that I had, the computers I was building at the time, couldn't really keep up pace with some of that stuff, and I wanted to get a Mac, but I couldn't afford a Mac. So at the time, I probably could get one now for one. I'm still kind of considering doing that. I just don't know when. I'm in the process of trying to set up my little mini studio right now as we speak. So that may be a few weeks, but in the meantime, I will be making some music this weekend. So I start tonight. But it inspired me to do what I'm doing. And since I've been going to church. The one good thing about me going to church, and have been going lately, because it did inspire me over the years to write music. I sang in the choir a number of times over the last 6 years. I did it before in the 80s too. And over the last 3-4 years, I've been able. I got a songbook. I wrote like about 6 songs. I haven't recorded any of those songs. I wrote other songs back in 2011 when I first got my iPad, and I recorded a song, and I mentioned it before earlier. I actually did a whole. I don't think it's on CD. Yeah, I think it is on CD. I did like 22 songs on CD, and I played a couple of them on YouTube. A couple of them I haven't posted on YouTube, matter of fact. You've heard some of them right here on Spreaker. But I think I want to get back in it again. I'm going to try to pull those songs up that I wrote down over the last few years that I never got a chance to really compose into music, just in the words. I'm going to try to work on at least 1 or 2. I might just create the music first and then see how I can do with the lyrics and paste the lyrics to it at some point. But I'm excited about doing it. But after watching this Michael Jackson special, man, Michael Jackson gave so much of himself, man. He really gave his whole body of work and his life to the culture of music, man. To the culture of people. He donated millions and millions of dollars to many charitable organizations, man. And they say he was really one of the most philanthropic musical celebrities of all time. I think he estimated he gave away over $300 million of his money to various charities over the years. And he gave one of the greatest things ever, the gift of music. The gift that keeps on giving and lasts forever. That's kind of what I want to do now. You know, it's kind of what right now, I'd say it, for me personally, it's kind of my bucket list, my future bucket list that I want to do, because I think music is important. During the 1960s, music is what helped change the landscape in this country. And maybe it can help change the landscape for the better again. That's one of the main reasons I want to do it. I'm very serious about this. You know, I think when you have the opportunity to seize the moment, go for it. I have the opportunity right now at my age to do something I've been wanting to do on a regular, off and on for a long time. And now I'm getting to a point where I'm about fully committed to do this. So let me go ahead and finish up a few things and get started on this tonight. Now, hopefully, if I could come up with some drum beats or something, I will let you know what I got, and I'll make sure I post it on here. So, guys, this is DJ Wolf. I'm hoping to do it now. I should be doing another podcast between now and sometime this weekend, since it's, you know, the big 3-day weekend here. The big 3-day weekend. Matter of fact, it came by so fast this week I didn't even realize it. So, with that in mind, guys, this is DJ Wolf. God bless you all, people. Love you all. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for supporting my podcast. Thanks for supporting me on both YouTube and Spreaker and Blog Talk Radio. Hopefully, I get Blog Talk Radio back, but I don't think it's going to happen anymore. I may have to drop Blog Talk Radio. But Spreaker and YouTube, trust me, you can count on me on here. All right, guys, this is DJ Wolf. I'm out, and this should be one of my songs right here.